having vision for life, having a direction in mind, and being at firm control of the wheel is a important precept to everything we're going to talk about today in resilience and mindset. Meaning, if pain has a hold of that wheel, you're not going to be where you want to be in life. Consciousness, intention, awareness, mindfulness, spirit, soul, future, purpose, mission, whatever you call it, that's got to be at the wheel. Resilience. If we've ever needed this conversation, it's probably right about now. People have really struggled to move through the dramatic changes we've all been experiencing, not just in the last year, but if you look at just the craziness of the last 5 years or the last 10 years, we've had technical disruptions, economic disruptions, pandemics. We've had, major political shifts around the world. Change is always accelerating. It's compounding each and every single year as the human body is being more connected to one another. It's an incredible challenge at the macro level to deal with all the changes that we face when sometimes it's scary, uncertain, discouraging, frustrating, when you witness hate, when you witness things that just don't vibe with your personal values or your socioeconomic beliefs or even your faith beliefs. All of that can really knock a person down. And resilience is that promise of the human spirit. The promise of the human spirit that it can rise through the most difficult times in life and recapture its sense of aliveness and connection and meaning and move forward with great faith and optimism. We know these things as we hear about resilience all the time. So today I'm hoping that I can provide a unique perspective on it from my vantage point. I believe that the first thing we have to know about resilience, outside of what I just shared about it, I really believe resilience is that promise of the human spirit to pick itself back up and keep going faithfully and optimistically forward. And that idea of picking ourselves up is so important in resilience. But I think that a lot of resilience and our ability to do that is stymied or hampered or slowed down by the fact that we get hurt. We experience emotional pain, trauma, sadness, difficulty. And when we're in those days and nights where we feel that it's darkest, it's really hard to get up and go again. And it's not that most people lack mental strength or mental tenacity, which has become very popular in the last couple of years of like, oh, well, they're not mentally strong or resilient. It's like, oh, well, let's not forget the difficulties that people face in life. Because a big part of resilience is empathy. A big part of resilience is allowing ourselves to feel that. Allowing ourselves to feel those challenging days and those dark nights and those frustrating moments. Allowing ourselves to be like, oh yeah, it's all right if I'm not perfect. I'm struggling right now. Resilience always begins with acknowledgement of the difficulty, acknowledgement of the challenge, acknowledgement of the struggle of life, and acknowledgement of the inevitable hardships. Because picking yourself back up or remaining strong and optimistic through difficult times, that's super hard if we don't first and foremost allow ourselves to sense it, feel it, recognize it. And the issue is, when people do sense and feel and recognize it, unconsciously or unconsciously, they often make a mistake. And this is going to lead to our very first idea. And it's a big idea. It's a big idea. And that is, we have to remember, to become resilient, we have to remember, and you're going to write this down, we have to remember that hurt and pain are indicator lights, not the wheel. Hurt and pain are indicator lights, not the wheel. And let me draw out this metaphor for everybody today, and I'll go deeper on it because I've introduced this on social media in the past, and people are like, whoa, that's a huge concept. And this idea is that when we're young or we're lacking awareness, or we haven't done our personal development and we're just going through the motions of life, a lot of our unconscious behavior becomes steering ourselves and driving ourselves with, through, or away from pain and hurt. We got hurt when we were teenagers, so we shut down. We felt pain of trauma, so we started doing everything to avoid that versus everything to live life. And so what I use this metaphor as hurt and pain are indicator lights, not the wheel. And that means imagine you're driving your car. And as you're driving your car, you notice that some of the indicators aren't where you thought they would be. You don't drive the car forever based on one of those lights. You ever have a light go out in your car? Like I had in my car, and I had this indicator light that the parking brake was on, but it wasn't. The light always said the parking brake is on. I mean, I had a 1988 Nissan Sentra, it had like 3 different colors on it because I had wrecked it before. There's Bondo colors on it. It was like orange and red. And this light was always on. Well, I didn't stop because that light was on. I knew that light was important, but I could verify whether or not that thing had to stop my forward momentum or change my destination. And what most people do is when they got hurt or they feel pain, they start gripping the wheel of life and steering only to avoid pain. It's kind of like if you're driving down a road and you steer only to avoid the potholes, you will definitely run off that road. There will be a greater accident. Because what's more important in driving is that you have a vision of where you're going. And that the wheel, you, the person at the wheel, you are directing this vehicle of life where you want it to go, not just where you are afraid it might go, and not just away from pain, but rather towards your ultimate vision. And sometimes we lack resilience in life. We are not even conscious of it because all we're actually doing is never recovering from those indicator lights. And we're driving by the indicator lights. Another example I gave this morning, I think on social media, was about, imagine you're a pilot of a plane and you're flying that plane to New York. And you know what? The indicator lights, they show problems. Well, you work to solve the problem of the indicator light, but just because it's windy or you're getting a lot of turbulence, it doesn't mean that when you're going to New York and you get this turbulence, you go, oh my gosh, this is just terrible. I better go where the turbulence isn't, and you end up in Philadelphia. No, you're going to New York. And that having vision for life, having a direction in mind, and being at firm control of the wheel is a important precept to everything we're going to talk about today in resilience and mindset. Meaning, if pain has a hold of that wheel, you're not going to be where you want to be in life. Consciousness, intention, awareness, mindfulness, spirit, soul, future, purpose, mission, whatever you call it, that's got to be at the wheel. When you got hurt and you were 15, that didn't need to dictate your next decade. You didn't need to drive your next decade of your life because of the hurt. You got divorced at 40. You don't need to be at 50 having just been reacting to that indicator light for a whole decade. What you got to go is, oh, okay, this thing happened. It hurt. I had to check in on myself. I had to make sure that I was okay. I had to take care of that problem or take care of myself, but that's not going to direct my map. That's not going to direct where I go. That's not going to make me steal. It's not going to steal my ability to steer my life. And a realization of resilience comes when often we realize, wow, I did pick myself up, but I went in the wrong direction. See, a lot of people actually have tremendous resilience and they never get credit for it. But it was the choices they made next that showed they didn't have ultimate resilience. Because you know what we learn in high performance habits? And I know you all know this, that first habit of highest performing people in the world, which remember, they are also the highest in well-being and positive relationships, was clarity. They had clarity about who they were, where they wanted to go. They had clarity about who they were and where they wanted to go. Think about that for a minute. They had clarity about who they were and where they wanted to go. It's a pretty powerful idea, right? That if I get hurt, or I feel pain, or I feel sadness, and I shut myself down, but I'm able to pick up and go through the week still, yeah, I picked myself up. But if I didn't ask, wait, okay, that wasn't what I expected. That did hurt. But what's it about now? Where do I want to go now? What is my vision? Without that, I'm here to tell you, it's extremely hard to be truly resilient. There's a difference between picking yourself up and getting back at the day and being resilient enough to course correct for what's true to you, to where you want to go. So to be resilient, we have to know in the future, you know what, next time I get discouraged, someone judges me, I get hurt, I'm sad. Next time I experience that, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remember that's an indicator I like to check in with myself. That's an indicator I like to check in, see what's meaningful, see what matters to me, and where I'm going to go now. What's the next right action of integrity for me now? What does my future hold for me now? Not to now grip the wheel and stay or live in the pain or the hurt or direct ourselves only from the pain and the hurt. Because what resilience is the ability no longer to direct ourselves from the discouragement, the hurt, or the pain. Now, I know this is kind of like an advanced idea in personal development here, and some people will always say, well, yeah, easy for you to say you didn't have this person break your heart, or you didn't have that happen at your job, or you didn't have this happen, in your business. I'm like, well, I probably did, or work with somebody who did. And if I didn't, the good news is 7 billion people on the planet, somebody did. If you keep thinking your hurt and pain is only yours, it only happens to you, then you feel even more isolated and less likely to enter the world again faithfully and confidently. And so don't be one of those people who are like, you don't understand my hurt and pain, because that's a slippery slope into isolationism. That's a slippery slope into withdrawing from the world. It's a slippery slope of closing off your heart when you think other people can't understand. Maybe the immediate people around you who hurt you, they don't understand. But the world at large, they get it. They've been through it. They saw their parent go through it. They saw somebody experience it. And when we can recognize the common human story that's always struggle or progress, we can go, oh, other people struggle too, but they can progress too. And so can you. So if you've had an old hurt or an old pain you've been hanging on to and you need help getting over it, I encourage you, go see a therapist. And I mean that truthfully. I think we disparage mental health, but if old hurts and pains are still driving you after years, you need professional assistance. You need to get some help with that. Get that therapist, get that licensed professional. If it's, it's just a bothersome thing or you're not clear about it, maybe you get a coach. But I think at the end of the day, if it's an old hurt, an old trauma, an old serious emotional pain, and you're still stuck there, you weren't able to grab the wheel back. Either either personal development hopefully trips that thing and opens it up for you, and you find a new day of mindfulness and consciousness and readiness and strength, and here you go. But if it's been years and you still can't, get help, get service to that. I think so many people never learn the skill of being resilient because we aren't taught it. And part of therapy or professional assistance is someone teaches you it. Somebody helps you. They talk you through it. And you're like, oh, that's how I didn't know I was supposed to think about that. And sometimes a simple metaphor like this might serve, but you got to go deep. That's what I love about Growth Day. We're going deep this month. I mean, you're going to hear from, 6, 7, 8 world-class coaches about their experiences and how they became resilient about it. I learned long ago, don't hold on or steer your life because of pain and hurt. Don't hold on to it. And the more you hold on to it, or the more you steer from it, the more the next major challenge comes up, stops you dead. The more the next major challenge makes you freeze. The longer you hold on to that stuff, the longer it's going to be a difficult road. And I had to learn that from, past relationships, past situations in business, past situations in, my own personal well-being. I think it's important. We always remember, okay, I see this as important. I'll acknowledge it. I'll check in. I'll handle the problem, but I'm going to start tomorrow. Keep steering back towards the truth of who I am or what my future holds for me. And I'm going to connect with that and drive towards that, not hold on to the past.